Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to Sydney. Yes, I've taken the short jaunt by Australian standards from Melbourne up north to Sydney, and I thought I'd make the most of the view. It's not the most amazing day, certainly not as nice as yesterday was, scorching hot, but still not too bad today. As I look out there to the left is Sydney Opera House. Pretty cool seeing it in real life after years of seeing, I don't know, photos of it or stuff on Hogmanay. I always remember you see it then. Sydney Harbour Bridge there in the middle. And I just thought I'd come out and about and give you a wee look around Sydney. I don't know if I've got much of a future in the tourism YouTube game. I'll probably stick to talking nonsense about Celtic. But yeah, we're out and about. Not the greatest of days here. First thoughts on Sydney. It's a bit warmer than Melbourne. As I say, it's not particularly nice today. Still nice and mild, not too much of a wind. Fascinating chat, Hamish. Oh, I saw a Celtic fan. That's more up your street. I've not actually seen many football tops since I got here, but I saw a Celtic fan shortly after arriving, about half an hour after arriving, wearing, you may be able to tell, the 2022 home shirt, which is the one we wore when we came here to Sydney. So putting two and two together, I reckon that person who looked Australian has found a love for Celtic when we toured here in 2022. Anyway, it's a nice backdrop, but we're here to talk about Celtic, and we've got a few things to discuss. A few of your comments from yesterday's post-match stream with John. Definitely check that video out, it's linked at the top. And a few other things to talk about as well. I'm going to start with the first comment. Football fan 14462 saying, I know it's really early in the season, and as much as I hate international breaks, this one has come at the right time for us. Need a wee break and gather ourselves. Too many players not at it at all. For me, Reo hasn't been on it for a while. As per, when the subs came on, they injected a bit of life to the team, but ultimately it's 3 points and we move on. Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, actually. The other day being yesterday. I think usually when international breaks come up, you're not a fan of them, and personally I don't like international breaks at all. I probably make that clear during every international break, and there's a lot of them at this time of year. I think generally speaking right now may not be the worst time for Celtic just to kind of take a little breather. The season's obviously had been pretty plain sailing up until the Dortmund game. Things were going incredibly well. We were winning every game, we were playing well every game. That was never going to be sustained over the whole season, of course. So we went into Dortmund, obviously went pretty badly. We don't need to go into that again. And then Sunday against Ross County, it wasn't a great performance. We got the result, but it felt as if maybe the team was just in need of a little break to recharge. Obviously we've got a few injuries as well. That I think it's no bad thing. We've got a couple of weeks to look at the likes of Cameron Carter-Vickers and hopefully get him back for the Aberdeen game. And Greg Taylor, potentially, he might not be back in time for that, but certainly not too long after. Alistair Johnson, another one who's been kind of battling injuries and knocks so far this season. So and obviously he's not going away with Canada. So I think that's all positive. Gives us a couple of weeks to sort all that stuff out. And yeah, I think the thing, as much as there's maybe been a little bit of negativity over the past couple of games, and obviously the Dortmund stuff was really disappointing, and we're all fed up of seeing Celtic get these horrendous results at that level, and it's really damaging to a lot of things. I think confidence, the team's morale, the way the team are viewed, etc. But I think generally you would look at the start to the season, whatever it's been, 12 odd games probably, and it's been pretty good. You would certainly have signed up for this at the start of pre-season. We've won every league game so far, 7 out of 7. We're 5 points clear of Rangers. We've already thumped them in a derby. We're into the semi-final of the League Cup, and obviously we've got 3 points in the Champions League as well. So I think generally, Celtic are in a really good place at the moment. There's still improvement to come from the team as well, which I think is that's not a negative, that's a positive. The fact I think this team can get even better. So I think it's all well and good, and it's probably just the right time for a little break. In terms of your point on Hatate, yeah, he's definitely not playing at the top of his game at the moment. I'll be honest, I'm finding some of the stuff a little bit over the top. I don't think it's like Hatate's been a complete shambles this season. I think there's some games he struggled in. Ross County, I didn't think he was our worst player at all. I thought Engels was like much poorer than Hatate on the day. I thought Hatate had a couple of wee moments. As I say, it wasn't a great performance, and he's had other ones that weren't great. He's also had games where I thought I think he has been great. St Mirren away, wasn't it? He was fabulous. I thought the Slovan Bratislava game at home, he was really, really good that night as well. So for me, he's just going through a little bit of a bad run of form. You see stuff about, his attitude, and he doesn't fancy it at Celtic, and he's chucked it and all of that stuff. I genuinely don't believe that at all. I just think he's got that kind of playing style that when things are coming off, it looks effortless with Hatate. When things aren't coming off, he can look a little bit laboured, and obviously the way he comes across as well. You don't necessarily see Reo Hatate smiling too often, which is just like his style. I think he'd be the exact same if he was playing incredibly for Real Madrid and got all his dreams and all that kind of stuff. I think it's just the way he is. But I really don't get the whole stuff, chat about Hatate being like completely finished and feature for Celtic going forward and all of that kind of nonsense. He's going to have a part to play this season. He's just going through a run at the moment. I predict that me saying that will even have been controversial. And listen, it's fine. I'm not right. What I'm saying is just my opinion. Everyone else has different opinions on Hatate, but something I've noticed, and personally I think a little bit over the top. So we've got Sven Galley Sound saying 7 or 8 times out of 10 the games after Europe are a bit difficult, especially away and especially after losing in midweek. No team plays their best every single game, just doesn't happen. On the days you're not at your best, win by hook or crook, job done. I'm pretty relaxed about Sunday generally. Again, I know certainly during the game a lot of people were pretty frustrated and worried about where the team were going, but you're never going to hit that top level every game this season. It's just completely unrealistic to expect that. We're going to go through challenges this season, and I think you're going to see plenty more of the games like Sunday going into this winter period when we're playing weekend, midweek, weekend. The pitches are not getting great, and we've got that European football happening at the same time, distraction, whatever you want to call it. So for me the big thing on Sunday was that the subs came on, and for the second time this season, really, with the Falkirk game being the first time, the subs really helped the team out to get that win. We covered it yesterday. McCowan was excellent when he came on. I thought Forrest was good, Bernardo was lively, and Kyogo's movement made a difference as well. So I think that's a real positive, that the subs are willing to get us out of trouble, basically. And as I say, it's happened a couple of times this season. Right, Michael Gardiner, hopefully that game has had an impact on Brendan Rodgers to do some of the things Ross County did in Europe. I'm not sure I ever see us playing like that under Brendan Rodgers in Europe. Ross County are entitled to do what they do, and I didn't think they were like outrageously defensive, but they were clearly getting 9 of their outfielders behind the ball basically at all times, making it really difficult for us to break down. I think there's a balance to be found for Celtic in Europe. I'm not sure I would ever want to see us being that defensive. I think it's fine for Ross County when they maybe don't have the quality, really. I think we do have quality, too much quality to be as defensive as that. And you look at Scotland in the Euros, for example, and I know Scotland weren't humped. Sorry, they were. I was going to say I know Scotland weren't humped in any game. Germany did thump us. But take the last game was at Hungary, for example, and I was at that game and I came away from it so disappointed because I didn't feel like my team had a go at all. And I don't know if that's a better or a worse feeling than what I had with Celtic against Dortmund, because to be honest I didn't feel we had much of a go at Dortmund either, just in a different way. I don't want Celtic ever to be a team in Europe that plays like Steve Clarke's Scotland did, because I just think that'd be totally uninspiring to watch, and I don't think it agrees with Celtic's philosophy. But obviously I think Brendan Rodgers needs to make alterations for this Atalanta game, and we can't have 6 players pressing the Dortmund backline in the first 5 minutes of the game and then the ball just going over the top and us being completely exposed. We need to be smarter than that. We need to be more rigid and really still carrying a threat going forward in the counter-attack. The irony is I think we have the players to be able to do that. We have real pace going forward, so it's something that I really hope we see going forward. I mean, I was thinking this earlier today. remember like the derby win at Ibrox last year, the 1-0 game we had when our backs were against the wall. See, in the second half, that was a pretty defensive performance from Celtic, and you say the same under the 2-1 win we had under Ange in Ange's first season. Second half, really defensive, just allowing Rangers to have the ball basically and sitting in and being hard to break down. That kind of performance in Europe I wouldn't be against, because we still carried some sort of attacking threat on the counter-attack in those games. So if we can do it at Ibrox, I know teams will face in the Champions League, like Atalanta, for example, are a better team than Rangers. But if we can do it at Ibrox and sit in and be hard to break down, I don't get why suddenly when we go into Europe we need to be really expansive and going after teams, because they're just too good, as we saw in the Dortmund game. Anyway, it's obviously a topic we're going to revisit ahead of Atalanta. It's also starting to rain here. I thought Australia was meant to be sunny. Right, finally, Mortimer67, always a big supporter of the channel, so thanks for that. McCowan and Bernardo were brilliant when they came on. Bernardo really got stuck in and grabbed the game by the scruff. Plenty of dig from the subs, which was great. Could easily have been one of those days. Another big 3 points. I hate international breaks, but this is a great time to regroup, reset and process Dortmund game and prepare for next set of fixtures. Great result for Aberdeen as well. Rangers fans will be raging as they had hoped both would drop points. Yeah, that Aberdeen game's going to be a cracker. I'm already excited to come back for that one, and seen a bit of chat online about the fact that game, isn't being shown in television, and I do feel that in most countries, any half-decent country, there would be a way for the broadcasters to get a hold of that, because it's a huge game. I mean, when at this stage of the season, 7 games in, have you ever really had two teams with 100% records playing against each other? I think there was one against Rangers maybe about 13 years ago. It was Neil Lennon's kind of first full season, wasn't it? And we went into that and maybe 8 wins in a row, something like that. But this is a huge game. So I think it probably should be in television. But I also saw a tweet, can't actually find it. If I can, I'll stick it on screen. But someone saying basically, it's a great thing for season ticket holders having forked out of this money and showed, this backing to the club financially, that they have basically exclusive rights to go and see this match live. I know there's ways people will be able to watch it live. Obviously people like me outside the country are able to get these games, the 3 o'clock games, live. In the UK and Ireland it's a bit different, but I think it's good in a way that season ticket holders have the privilege to go and be the only ones that can really watch this game legally live in Scotland, and we're going to get a huge crowd for it as well. So yep, buzzing for that. And yeah, we have another international break. I was going to say coming up. We're in the international break now. Celtic actually have a match tomorrow night though. We're playing against Sligo Rovers at a sold out The Showgrounds, and as you can see on the promotional material for the match, Brendan Rodgers is on it. And it's also Celtic FC. It's not Celtic B or a Celtic 11. The game will be streamed live on, let me check this, League of Ireland TV. €10 I believe it's going to cost for a match pass. Kick-off is at 7:30 tomorrow night, so Wednesday night. So what can we expect from this one? You're not going to see a full Celtic team out, but there will be some names that you know. Here's Brendan Rodgers speaking on Sunday. I'll be there. I'll be taking the team. The plan was in place a few months back. Obviously, we'll need to recover some players, but there's going to be a number of players that need games, so it will be a mixture of our first team players in the squad and also some of our young players, because it's my chance to see them. But yes, we'll go over there. Always great to go back home, and then we'll prepare them for Aberdeen. Doesn't seem like Cameron Carter-Vickers or Greg Taylor will feature in the match. Alistair Johnson, who's not on international duty with Canada, won't either. Just kind of looking at our squad, you would think, and I'm not sure if these guys are away on international duty, but you would think Odin Holm would probably feature in the game. Hyunjin Yang would. Stephen Welsh certainly, I think, will play. Lewis Palm will be away on international duty, won't he? So yeah, we might see players like that and some younger guys as well, some of the guys we saw in pre-season that Brendan Rodgers can get another look at, just in a little bit of a step up. So yeah, I'm not promising any major match reaction or anything after the game, but it'll be interesting to see the team, and it's certainly something we'll cover on the channel on Thursday. But you'll be able to watch that, League of Ireland TV. I'm sure some of you will be familiar with that. Just finally wanted to clear something up from Sunday's game and some comments, and I'm sorry to do this when we're all happy and lovely rainy Sydney, and wherever you are in lovely rainy Scotland. Kris Boyd from Sky Sports looking for Nicholas Kuhn to have been shown a second yellow for his goal celebration on Sunday after his winner. Boyd said, "Obviously you can just run into the crowd and celebrate and nothing happens. The rules must have changed. I thought you got booked if you go into the crowd." Now Sky made a bit of a thing of this, as you may expect. Nicholas Kuhn was even asked whether he was worried he might be shown a second yellow when he did his post-match interview with Luke Shanley. Well, in stunning news, Bobby Madden has come to our rescue here and has just explained a little bit about the situation over whether refs should be given yellow cards for this kind of thing. He explained the situation on Instagram. He wrote, "Nobody has ever wanted cautions for this. It was removed as a mandatory caution over a decade ago. Referees' discretion and common sense were asked for, the only consideration being if the celebration caused a safety or security risk. The guidance was that if you celebrated with your own fans, didn't enter the crowd, and there wasn't multiple pitch incursions, this is when police would expect action as a consequence, then no caution would be issued." And I was looking back just out of interest at Anthony Ralston's moment in Dingwall at the tail end of 2021, and he ran into the crowd very similarly to Nicholas Kuhn, wasn't booked at that stage. So what is the difference here? Oh yeah, it was that Nicholas Kuhn already had a yellow card, so it became a bit of a talking point. So yep, glad some common sense was shown by Kevin Clancy, and I'm sure it definitely won't be a talking point everywhere else. I guess I can't really talk about that because I've just brought it up and spoken about it for the last 5 minutes, but I thought it was just interesting to cover that because I don't like stuff like that being said just to kind of create a reaction. Yeah, that's us for today. And yeah, it's nice enough here. We're going to keep the videos going during the international break. Stevie's going to come on tomorrow. I can't promise I'll be here, probably in my hotel room somewhere. I think one video here is enough. But genuinely, I'll give you one last look at the view. It's pretty special, and I don't know how many of you have ever been here or how many of you will ever fancy a trip to Australia in Sydney, but I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, we'll go from this downhill tomorrow when Stevie joins me.